Thanks for sending me $300 every month. I've been eating hamburgers every day.
I was so shocked by my son's words that I thought time had stopped. Huh? I've been sending you $1,500 every month. A casual conversation with my son, Tom, whom I hadn't seen in a while, turned into something shocking. I had been concerned about his unhealthy appearance, and then, this discovery came out of nowhere. Even after checking my bank account balance in real time, the math added up. Only $300 had been deposited each month. Tom, has anyone been coming into your house recently?
Someone coming into my house.
With this question, the shadow of a suspect started to form. The person behind it was about to face an unexpected conclusion. My name is Sarah Smith, 51 years old, and I run my own business. I have one son, Tom, who just started his first year of college at 18. He's a kind and thoughtful kid, always thinking about his mom. Tom has been good at drawing since he was young, and now he's attending an art school majoring in oil painting. His dream is to become a painter, and he works hard every day to get closer to that goal. Tom's paintings use warm colors that can comfort people's hearts, yet they have a solid contrast and deep sense of space. From my amateur perspective, I think his work is already great, but according to Tom, he still has a long way to go. I've been a single mother since I divorced my husband shortly after Tom was born. There were many reasons for the divorce, but the final straw was infidelity and money issues. My ex-husband was never a responsible person, more of a go-with-the-flow type. After we got married, his irresponsible nature only got worse. One day, when I thought he was going to work as usual, I found out he had been fired a long time ago and was spending his time at the casino. By the time I realized, it was too late, and thousands of dollars had already been withdrawn from my savings account. When I confronted him, his response was,
"You should be grateful I'm even living with you."
That was when the suspicion of his affair came up, leading to our divorce. After that, I threw myself into work. At the time, I was working as an office lady, but raising a small child while working full-time was not easy. I had to take time off when Tom was sick or be late for work, and eventually, my colleagues started giving me cold stares. It took a toll on me mentally, and I ended up resigning on my own. Looking back, I think it was the right decision. Luckily, my mother's old acquaintance, who owned a company, offered me a job. This new company was understanding about childcare, partly because the CEO was a woman. As I worked and received support from others, I was promoted, and eventually, the previous CEO asked me to take over the company. At first, I was surprised, but after discussing it with her, I didn't want the company to end. So now, I'm the president of that company. I may not be wealthy, but I wanted Tom to live comfortably. Thanks to my current job, I can support Tom in pursuing his dreams. Tom, who was once so small, is now a university student. It fills me with emotions. He moved out to live near his school after starting university. When he moved out, I felt a mix of sadness and pride. I nearly cried.
Mom, I'm sure I'll still cause you trouble, but thanks for everything up until now. Please take care of me from here on.
Tom said that to me on his moving day. He's truly a considerate and capable son. Although Tom's new home isn't far from our house, we haven't been able to see each other much because he's busy with schoolwork. However, we often talk on the phone, and just hearing his voice is enough to put my mind at ease. Today, Tom was coming home for the first time in a while. I was excited to hear about his grades and university life.
I'm home.
It was already past 11 p.m. when Tom returned. When I heard the door open, I immediately went to greet him, but the sight of Tom shocked me. He was much thinner. Huh? Oh, welcome home. My voice caught in my throat from surprise. Tom, who used to look healthy, now had bony arms and sunken cheeks.
Sorry I'm so late. Is there any dinner left? I'm starving.
Although his tone and demeanor hadn't changed, I quickly laid out his dinner on the table.
Wow, it's been a while since I had your cooking. Thanks for the meal.
Tom's eyes sparkled as he quickly devoured his food, even asking for seconds. While I was happy to see him eat so much, the way he wolfed down his food seemed a little odd. Me, how's university life? I asked, trying to distract myself.
It's fun. I've already completed a few paintings, and I'm learning a lot.
I see, and your grades from the last term were good, too. You're working hard.
Yeah, I want to get good grades. Oh, by the way, I've made some close friends recently.
This was the first time Tom had talked about friends from university.
They're all fun and kind people. The other day, some of them even stayed over at my place.
It seemed like a typical college experience. I reminisced about my own university days, staying over at friends' houses. Me, that's great, but don't party too much, okay?
Of course, I know.
I gently warned him. After all, as a university student, there are temptations to avoid. While I trusted Tom, it didn't hurt to be cautious. Since he came home late, he went to bed soon after eating dinner. The next morning, Tom left early for school, so we didn't get to talk much. A week passed since then, but I couldn't shake the nagging feeling about his health. Even if he was dieting, the weight loss was too extreme, and Tom was always a healthy kid. After a week of worrying, I decided to call Tom and check on him.
Hello, Mom. What's up?
Tom's voice sounded the same as always, which was somewhat reassuring. Hey, I've been meaning to ask. Are you eating properly?
Yeah, I eat every day.
Tom's answer was reassuring. But what about sleep? Are you staying up late because you're busy?
Yeah, I've been sleeping less. I'm working a part-time job now, so I've gotten used to cutting back on sleep.
A part-time job? This was news to me. I had no idea he was working, especially since he already seemed so busy.
Oh, I didn't tell you. I'm working the night shift at a convenience store.
The night shift? Are you sure you're okay? If the allowance isn't enough, I can send more. I had been sending Tom a monthly allowance for his living and food expenses. He initially said he didn't need it, but I insisted because I wanted him to focus on his studies, especially since he got into the art school he dreamed of. But now, hearing he had to work night shifts, I was ready to increase the allowance.
No, it's okay.
But before I could finish, Tom gently interrupted me.
Thanks for sending me $300 every month. I've been eating burgers every day.
What? I was stunned. $300?
Huh? What's wrong, Mom?
How much did you say? I pressed the phone harder to my ear, needing to make sure I heard him correctly. Tom casually replied.
It's $300, right? That's how much you've been sending every month, isn't it?
No, I've been sending $1,500 every month. I bluntly stated the amount, while Tom, who had been so casual, suddenly raised his voice.
What? My account definitely shows $300 each month.
How is that possible? We both were confused, trying to figure out what was going on. After calming down, Tom explained that he hadn't touched the money I sent. He was covering his living expenses with his part-time job. Thinking back, whenever he needed extra money for art supplies or anything, he always asked me for it directly, and I'd deposit that into a separate account. Tom had two accounts, one where I deposited his allowance and another where he managed his own money and credit card payments. Since the allowance account only had my deposits, it was easy to track. While we were still on the phone, Tom checked his balance using his banking app. Sure enough, the balance was $1,200, which, over 4 months, only accounted for $300 per month. You're sure you didn't accidentally use it?
I didn't use it.
Tom firmly denied any mistake. That left only one possibility: someone else was stealing the money.
Wait, something's wrong.
What's wrong? Tom's voice suddenly turned serious, sending a chill down my spine.
I'm looking at the transaction history, and money is being taken out every month.
He muttered in a small voice. The amount taken was $1,200 each month, exactly what was missing. Tom, where do you keep your cash card? And is anyone coming to your house recently? With the amounts matching up, the next step was to figure out who was taking the money. I tried to stay calm and asked Tom slowly. If he wasn't the one withdrawing the money, then someone else had to be using his card. Naturally, anyone who frequently visited his house became the most suspicious.
The card is in my desk drawer, and the only person who comes over often is.
Tom's voice faltered as if he was piecing things together. I gulped in anticipation.
Maybe my friend, Richard.
This was the first time I had heard that name. According to Tom, his friend's name was Richard Hawkins, and Richard frequently came over, sometimes bringing other friends along for parties.
But he's not that kind of person.
Tom tried to defend Richard, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Would a true friend come over so often with large groups for parties? It seemed suspicious. You might not like this, but we need to find out. If it turns out he's innocent, you'll have an even better relationship with him. I laid out the plan to Tom. A few weeks later, the plan was in motion. In August, I deposited $1,500 into Tom's account as usual. Today was the first time since then that Richard was coming over. Before that, I called Tom to go over the plan one more time, making sure everything was set. As expected, Richard entered Tom's place without hesitation, behaving as if it were his own.
Did you do that report? Mind if I copy it?
Huh. Sure, but I thought you said the last time was the final time.
After spending a few hours at the house, Richard started to get ready to leave.
I've got something to do later, so I'm heading out.
Before leaving, Richard stopped by the bathroom. During that moment, Tom checked his desk drawer, and the cash card was gone. The card had been there before Richard arrived, but now it was missing. The culprit was clear.
See ya.
Wait a second.
Tom stopped Richard just as he was about to leave. Taking a deep breath, Tom said,
Give me back my cash card.
Huh?
Tom stood firm, staring directly at Richard, who responded with a dry, nasal laugh.
The card was there before you came, and now it's gone. If you give it back now, I won't be mad.
Tom's voice was gentle but resolute. Richard, however, didn't budge.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You've been taking money from my account every month, haven't you? That money is from my mom, who works hard every day to earn it. So
what? You don't have any proof that I took it, do you?
Richard dismissed Tom's words with a smug attitude. Tom, however, grabbed Richard's backpack and tried to take it off him by force.
I don't want to do this, but show me your stuff.
Richard, who was bigger and stronger, easily shook off Tom. After some struggle, Richard pushed Tom down hard, causing him to fall. At that moment, something slipped out of Richard's hoodie pocket. It was a card. Tom picked it up, his eyes reddened as he looked up at Richard.
This is.
The card was a bank cash card, and the name on it was clearly Tom Smith. Richard, now cornered, clicked his tongue and looked down at Tom.
Man, this is such a hassle. I didn't get caught all this time.
With that, Richard finally confessed, turning defiant.
Yeah, I took it. But it's your fault for not noticing sooner. You and your spoiled rich kid face. I've been targeting you from the start.
Richard's outburst shocked Tom to the point of tears. Being betrayed by someone he trusted was a huge emotional blow to him.
Crying like a little girl, huh? That's hilarious.
Laughing at Tom, Richard said,
Well, see ya.
He snatched Tom's cash card and was about to leave through the front door when he opened it and found me standing there.
Whoa, who's this old lady?
Old lady? I'm Tom's mother. I spoke in a stern voice, letting my anger show.
Oh, so you're the one who told Tom about his account balance. You seriously need to cut the cord and let him go already.
Even with me, Richard showed no remorse, mocking me even more. You do know stealing someone's money is a crime, don't you? Do you understand what you've done?
Yeah, whatever. Preach all you want.
My words didn't faze him at all. His cocky attitude was infuriating. You need to listen, I said firmly, and Richard grabbed my arm, squeezing hard.
You're really annoying.
The pain in my arm grew, and I let out a small cry.
Stop it.
Seeing this, Tom jumped on Richard's back, trying to restrain him. Richard let go of my arm, but Tom, being smaller, was no match for Richard and was easily thrown to the ground again. Still, Tom raised his voice.
Apologize to my mom.
Tears streamed down Tom's cheeks. He had never been in a fight before, but here he was, standing up to someone for the first time. I was more struck by that than the pain in my arm.
Ugh, you two are such a pain. Do you not get it until I teach you a lesson?
Just as Richard reached for Tom's collar, the door opened with a click, and a bright light shone into the room.
That's enough. Stop right there.
Standing in the doorway were two police officers. Their deep voices echoed through the room. Even Richard froze, taken aback.
You're the one who stole the cash card, right? You're coming with us.
The officers calmly assessed the situation.
What? Why?
As Richard panicked, Tom and I finally relaxed, feeling a sense of relief. Our plan had worked. Everything that had happened up until this point was part of the plan Tom and I devised. We left the cash card in its usual spot, then checked if it was still there before Richard left. If it was missing, we knew he was the culprit. I had been waiting at a nearby cafe, ready to come over once Tom called. We had also called the police beforehand in case we needed to stall for time. Since Richard was bigger, Tom had warned me that he might not be able to handle him physically, so we needed the police as backup. The police were a little slower than expected, but they arrived just in time. With me on the ground and Tom's collar grabbed, the situation spoke for itself. Richard, in a last-ditch effort, said,
What are you talking about? We were just rehearsing a play.
But the police weren't buying it. Richard was handcuffed and escorted out of the room. Later, during the police investigation, it was confirmed that Richard was the one stealing the money. It turned out he had used the same method in several previous thefts. Not only that, but he had also been involved in underage drinking and smoking. Until now, he had gotten off lightly, but this time, with his behavior towards us, he would likely face a much harsher sentence. Curious about how Tom had mistaken Richard for a kind person and become friends with him, I asked Tom. He told me that Richard had once complimented his artwork, and Tom believed he was sincere at that moment. As their friendship grew, Tom learned about Richard's troubled past and difficult family situation. Even after everything, Tom still defended Richard, saying it wasn't entirely his fault. As a mother, I thought Tom was being too kind, but if that's how Tom saw it, maybe he was right. After that, we returned to our normal lives. I reminded Tom, "It's fine to work part-time, but make sure you use the allowance I send." Gradually, Tom regained his healthy appearance. A few months after the incident, in December, Tom surprised me by inviting me on a trip to LA for my birthday. He planned everything, including the accommodations and places to visit, and even paid for the entire trip.
Mom, thank you for raising me all these years. I hope you live a long life. Happy birthday.
The LA trip was Tom's gift to me. He had been working part-time to save up for this surprise. I was so overwhelmed with happiness that I couldn't stop crying. Thanks to Tom, this year's birthday became one of the happiest days of my life. I'm so proud of my son. I need to live a long life to see more of Tom's growth and create more happy memories together. I hope you enjoyed the story. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next video.